Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Before we dive into today's story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you the latest in the world of boxing. Now let's talk about a fight that has the entire United Kingdom buzzing, a fight that feels less like a sporting event and more like destiny. On November 15, 2025, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, one of the most heated rivalries in British boxing history will be reignited when Chris Eubank Jr. faces Conor Benn in their long-awaited rematch. This isn't just a fight. This is personal. This is family. This is decades of rivalry and unfinished business. This is Eubank versus Benn, round 2 for a new generation. To understand why this is so special, we need to rewind all the way back to the 1990s. That's when Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn ruled the British boxing scene. Their first fight in 1990 was nothing short of legendary. Benn was the Dark Destroyer, a ferocious puncher who left destruction in his path. Eubank was the flamboyant showman, arrogant to some, classy to others, but undeniably skilled. When the two finally collided, it was explosive. Benn came out guns blazing, but Eubank absorbed the storm, fought back, and in the 9th round, scored a dramatic stoppage. That fight is still remembered as one of the greatest nights in British boxing history. The rematch in 1993 was just as intense. This time, the judges couldn't separate them, and the fight ended in a draw. To this day, people still argue over who won. And because there was never a third fight, the rivalry remained unfinished, etched into the fabric of British sports history. Fast forward 3 decades, and here we are again. The sons of those same men are now stepping into the ring to carry on the family feud. Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn aren't just fighting for themselves, they're fighting for their fathers, for their family legacies, and for the pride of 2 names that are inseparable from British boxing history. This fight was supposed to happen years ago, in 2022. The build-up was huge. Tickets were sold, the press conferences were fiery, and the buzz was electric. But then, disaster struck. Conor Benn failed a drug test just days before the fight. The event collapsed, the boxing world went into meltdown, and what should have been one of the biggest nights in British boxing turned into scandal and chaos. Benn spent the next few years battling to clear his name, defending himself in the media and through legal appeals. Eubank Jr., meanwhile, went on with his career, fighting Liam Smith twice in grudge matches of his own. But the rivalry with Benn never went away. It was always there, simmering beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode again. And now that moment is here. Eubank Jr. versus Benn 2 is official, and this time, nothing is stopping it. Let's talk about the fighters themselves. Chris Eubank Jr. is the seasoned veteran. He's fought some of the best in the world: George Groves, Billy Joe Saunders, James DeGale, Liam Smith. He's won some, he's lost some, but through it all, he's built a reputation as one of the toughest men in the sport. His chin is legendary. This man has never been stopped in his career. He's known for his conditioning, his work rate, and his signature uppercut. Love him or hate him, you cannot deny that Eubank Jr. brings drama and confidence every time he steps into the ring. Conor Benn, on the other hand, fights with raw aggression and power. He's undefeated, fast, explosive, and fearless. Everything about him screams Nigel Benn's son, the same ferocity, the same relentless style, the same hunger to destroy his opponents. But Conor has always been under pressure. People have questioned whether he's truly elite or whether he's just living off his father's name. For him, this fight isn't just about beating Eubank. It's about proving once and for all that he belongs at the very top of the sport. And then there's the stage itself. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 60,000 fans. London under the lights. This isn't just a boxing match, it's going to be a full-blown spectacle. The undercard is stacked with talent too. Adam Azim takes on Zor Abdullah in a test of youth versus experience. Jack Catterall, fresh off controversial fights of his own, faces EKOW Esserman. The whole night is being billed as a celebration of British boxing, but make no mistake, the main event is the one that matters. Now let's shift to the reactions from boxing legends, because this fight has drawn opinions from some of the biggest names in the sport. Nigel Benn, Conor's father, has been emotional. He said, "This fight means everything. Conor is fighting not just for himself, but for our name. I lost to Chris Eubank Sr., and I never got my revenge. Now my son has the chance to put things right. I believe in him with all my heart." Chris Eubank Sr., never one to be outdone, has been just as dramatic. In his signature poetic style, he declared, "My son shall triumph where others falter." The Benns had their moment, but the legacy belongs to the Eubank family. This is not merely sport, it is destiny. Carl Froch, always outspoken, gave a fiery take. He said, "I like Conor Benn's style. He's dangerous, aggressive, and hungry. Eubank Jr. has experience, sure, but sometimes experience doesn't save you when you're under fire. Don't be shocked if Conor takes him out." Tony Bellew added his thoughts, saying, "This is as good as it gets for British fans. Two names that mean so much, finally settling it in the ring. But make no mistake, both men are under enormous pressure. I don't see this going 12 rounds. Somebody's getting stopped." Even Lennox Lewis, the great heavyweight champion, chimed in, saying, "It's beautiful to see this rivalry live on. These young men are not just fighting for themselves, they're fighting for history. And when you fight for history, the stakes are greater than belts or money." And then there's George Groves, who famously beat Chris Eubank Jr. in the World Boxing Super Series. Groves was blunt. Eubank's got ability, but he can be exposed. Benn's got power, but he hasn't been truly tested at the highest level. This fight will answer a lot of questions. The media has also had a field day with this matchup. Some outlets are calling it the biggest British fight since Anthony Joshua fought Vladimir Klitschko at Wembley. Others are labeling it a family war and comparing it to dynasties colliding. Social media is a battleground, with fans fiercely divided. One half are #Team Ben, saying Conor's youth and power will overwhelm Eubank. The other half are #Team Eubank, insisting his experience and chin will carry the day. Memes are everywhere. Eubank's famous showboating clips are resurfacing. Ben's highlight knockouts are going viral. Every press conference moment gets clipped and shared. The hype is real, and it's only getting bigger as fight night approaches. So how does this fight actually play out? Let's paint the picture. The stadium is rocking. The lights go down. Conor Benn comes storming out to the ring, intense, bouncing on his toes, glaring at the crowd, looking like a man on a mission. Then Chris Eubank Jr. makes his entrance, calm, composed, maybe even smirking, soaking in the booze and cheers like fuel. The bell rings. Ben charges forward, throwing bombs, trying to overwhelm Eubank. The crowd goes crazy. Eubank uses his jab, his defense, his composure. He taunts, he showboats, he tries to lure Ben into mistakes. The clash of styles is electric. If Ben lands something big early, the fight could swing his way. But if Eubank survives the storm, uses his experience, and takes the fight into the later rounds, his stamina and toughness could break Ben down. That's what makes this fight so fascinating. It really feels like a genuine 50-50. And here's the thing. No matter who wins, the outcome will ripple across boxing. If Conor Benn wins, he redeems his name after the drug test scandal, proves himself as an elite fighter, and finally steps out of his father's shadow. He becomes not just Nigel Benn's son, but Conor Benn, the man who avenged his family's greatest rivalry. If Chris Eubank Jr. wins, he becomes the definitive heir to his father's legacy, showing that the Eubank family still reigns supreme over the Benns. He also deals Conor Benn the first loss of his career, crushing his momentum and putting a permanent stamp on the rivalry. Either way, this fight is about more than rankings or belts. It's about pride, legacy, and history. It's about two names that will forever be intertwined in British boxing lore. So what do you think? Is Conor Benn going to shock the world and bring glory back to the Benn family name? Or will Chris Eubank Jr. prove once and for all that the Eubanks are the superior dynasty? Let me know your predictions in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. We'll be covering everything from the press conferences to the weigh-in, all the way to fight night. Thanks for watching, and get ready, because November 15th is going to be one of the biggest nights in British boxing history.